Portobello. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Tell me about yourself. Tell me about what you do. Who are you?
We are a band, Portobello.
Yeah.
We play. It's always a difficult question to answer in terms of what our genre is. It's quite poppy, I would say. But then we all kind of have different influences that inform that a bit. So kind of pop, but a bit indie. Some other sort of singer-songwriter stuff in there as well, I would say. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we spoke to a guy called Tim from BBC Channel Islands, and a big feature of his description is he feels like it's festival music, you know?
Music for the sunshine, I think
Music
is what he
for the
said.
sunshine.
Sounds like good music.
That's kind of the what we want.
Yeah, fair. Where do you think that influence comes from? Does it come from individual? Just your stomach going there.
Yeah, my stomach. So just to clarify, we have just had a massive curry. All right.
That's that. Who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
Depends what the job is, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
Production, him. That's kind of it, really. I don't really do much else.
No, I think you've driven a lot of because there's so much admin. You don't
Yeah, all
really
the admin.
realize until you get stuck into making music that there's so much behind the scenes work, and you need someone that's going to be organized, going to be like, is this done? You know, you've got to tick everything off. And so a big part of that has been driven by you, to be fair.
Yeah, that's my role. I got the boring job.
Yeah, fun.
It's all right. Someone's got to do it.
Leave it to the guitarist.
Yeah. No, I think, I say that's true. Because we were talking earlier in terms of producing and kind of, producing music now. We've moved a lot of that in-house, and that's been mainly driven by Andy, kind of getting a lot better at producing and making that a lot easier for us. So he's very much driving that.
But you need the songs, right? You need the songs to
start.
So
but I would say that the
both of
songwriting
us.
process is very much equal. We each have our kind of things that we're good at in terms of the songwriting process, and therefore it kind of works quite well and quite complementary, I would say.
Obviously, it's not just you two. Who else is in the band?
So in the band are the two of us, a girl called Lucy, who sings and plays keys, and a guy called Joe, who's a drummer, who's one of the best drummers I've played with, I think. He's very, he's like, he did math at uni, very mathematical. Everything is beats and bars. And he's just, he's like a human metronome, basically.
Clinical.
Yeah. We were both at uni together. We were all at Birmingham Uni together. And we all met through a mutual friend who like saying to us, you guys will do really well together. Why don't we all meet and have a jam session? And we kind of just got in a room. Lucy was actually on my course, and I'd met Joe, the old bassist in the band. I met him a few times, and we just kind of got into a room together, started playing. Andy had a song that he was working on that we all just jumped into, and we were all in the room just like, this actually works really well, and we're, gelling quite well. And then we, just kept doing that, did that a few times, practiced a few covers, and then we played our first gig, and it sort of just snowballed from there, really.
And now you're here.
Now we're here.
I have to say, the big thing for me was, so up until that point, I'd never met anyone that was into music that I could actually get on with.
Right.
And post the first time, not because I'm argumentative or anything like that, but sometimes you click with people, and sometimes sometimes you click with people, and sometimes I guess that spark's just not there. And after the first time that we all met, we were on our way home, and then it must have been Reuben was like, all right, should we go for beer now? And I was like, that's the first step into almost normality of, I'd met a lot of people who were into music that didn't quite have that social side as well, and for me it's important to
be able to be mates with someone as well as
exactly,
just, having the music
enjoy
side of things.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And also as well, I think you need to be mates with someone, because when you're doing music or writing music, like if someone comes with a song idea that is objectively bad, you need to be honest and say, look, let's try a new one or a different one. But if you're not friends with each other, that kind of interaction becomes a little bit awkward. So I think that the kind of going out for a beer afterwards and just being friends outside of the music side of things is important, for sure.
Yeah, otherwise you just waste so much time. If you're like faffing around, you're like, how am I going to say this? How am I going to let them down easy? God, you're going to spend all day there,
Not
Whereas if you can
done.
just be like, actually, no, let's let's just bin this and
Move on.
go down a slightly different route. Then you're just way more efficient.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
agree.
So something that I don't experience is the band, like being in a band side of things. I'm solo. Obviously, I get loads of input from you on the tracks that I do.
Yeah.
But generally, it's like just me sequencing and putting everything in how I want it. You yourself, you do some solo music. What's the difference in terms of the creative process? Do you find it easier to write solo stuff, or do you find it easier in a band?
That's a great question.
It's just really different. Because I think in some ways, working with someone else closes options in a really nice way. So if you think, let's start with a solo, you've got no one to tell you, nah, that's not good. You know, as we were just saying, sometimes you need someone to be like, you need the second opinion to be like, what are you doing, mate? You know, that's not the one.
Almost close it off in the right direction.
100%,
sometimes.
yeah. Well, exactly. And it, your two paths almost come together. Whereas if it's just you, you can really wobble a lot, you know? So I think it's just super different, you know? And everyone's got different taste in music. Everyone's got different ways of thinking. So when you've got someone else in the room that you can bounce ideas off, you just come out with something different. There's no way that the two of us, you know, and the others would end up writing the same song as if it was just one of us in a room.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You
not.
know?
Definitely not. Yeah. And you're right. I'm even, I don't do any solo stuff, but even I might have an idea and I'm like, this is the tits. This is great. I send it to him and he's like, no, but if I was a solo artist, I would still think that is amazing and then go through the whole process of like producing it, recording it, whatever. And I was like, I needed someone to tell me that it was bad, but because it's just me, no one necessarily does. So that's also, do you know what I mean?
But saying that, no one knows, right? So actually, if we're in a band together and I'm like, oh, it's a terrible idea, and you bin it completely, you could have missed out on a huge tune.
Depends
you know?
how much I believe in the
difficult.
song, though.
Yeah.
Like if I'm really like, absolutely, this is, you know, like this is going to be great. This is going to be, you know, defining of us, this song. Even if you say it's shit, I'll be like, no, it's not. It's like, you just don't get it. It's really, really good. And I'll like, you know, try and sell it. whereas if I'm like not sure and then you say that and then like, yeah, okay, fine, maybe you're right. So I think it depends on the song. I mean, we've had music that our most recent song, Redline, we like sort of evolved from a few ideas and then we had it on your laptop and we were working on it. And there was a point where I was like, I actually don't like this song anymore.
Interesting.
And then you liked it a lot more than I did.
And now it's BBC Track of the Week.
And now it is BBC introducing Track of the Week.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got onto Redline so much faster than we wanted to.
Yeah, so yeah, you can drop that.
Okay, yeah, we'll wind it back a bit. First of all, yeah, let's get cheers in.
Cheers.
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 Thanks for joining.
No, thank you for having us.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me in your house. I've come along to set up. Yeah.
Always welcome.
Right, so give me a bit of background. I reckon take it in turns. Andy, what's your musical background like?
Good question. So I started playing piano.
So I don't think I even know any of this.
Well, tuck in, mate. Yeah.
Get your notepad out.
Yeah.
So I started playing piano when I was, I don't know, let's say 11. My mum was like, you've got to play piano. Forced me to play for, I don't know, 6 years or so. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. And it was one of those where my piano teacher we just didn't click, you know?
You're setting off now.
I thought I was being subtle, but obviously not. Sorry, carry on. Carry on.
We didn't get on at all. And it was one of those where she was making me play classical music and I'm like, I don't get this, you know? And then at some point in the beginning of secondary school, I must have been off ill for like 2 weeks or something like that. And my brother had a guitar that was just sort of lying around. And because I'd learnt piano and I'd taken grade 8, I hadn't passed it, but I'd taken grade 8.
So you failed grade 8?
So, do you know what? I don't even know if I went because I was like, what? I'm not enjoying this.
Sorry.
And because I had all that underlying knowledge, I was able to just pick up the guitar, and I remember watching Lewis Watson, watching any video that he was in on YouTube, trying to catch glimpses of him like using his left hand on the guitar, and just self-taught through watching, which is cool. And then I just started developing off that, and then slowly started writing some bits, and then it's one of those where
there's going to be a minute-long outtakes of just stomach noises and burping.
And then I think, honestly, so I wrote a couple of bits, didn't really go anywhere, and then we obviously all met, and then
which was first year of uni,
blossomed there a little bit.
Second year of uni.
Second year, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
There you go.
Short history.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
Nice, love that.
Am I next?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my first musical instrument, not many people know this, was the oboe.
Oh,
yeah, the oboe. Absolutely quality instrument. We had someone come into school to teach woodwind instruments, and there was the saxophone, the flute, and the oboe and the clarinet. And I don't think actually the saxophone wasn't available yet. That was we were in like year 3 or year 4. So everyone had a go on the flute, and like people that could make that noise properly, like blowing over the thing, couldn't do that. But for some reason, I was really good at blowing into an oboe reed. It's like a double reed. So I did that for like 2 years. Really enjoyed my teacher, and then my teacher then changed, who I less enjoyed, and I was like, I don't want to play the oboe anymore. I was like, just turned like 12, and I was like, the oboe's not cool.
What sort of stuff are you playing? Like,
so I did grade 2. Oh, bloody hell. I was in the Jersey Orchestra, and we played I can't call it a gig if it's an orchestra, can I? What was it? A show.
Yeah.
At Holier School, and I pretty much pretended to play the entire time. I don't think I actually played, because I had no confidence. I didn't know what I was doing, and like everyone around me was a bit older or just like really, really good, and I was just really, really bad, basically. So
have you seen those the brass bands where it's just full of like really young children and none of them can play?
No.
Is this what you're imagining with him?
We've got to pull up some of them because they are incredible. And you've just got parents like incredibly crying with laughter.
Oh, because it's so bad.
Because everyone, like all the kids are trying to play the trumpet, and you know what the trumpet sounds like.
Yeah, if it's bad. Yeah, I do know what the trumpet sounds like. It's very badly.
I actually learnt what's the clarinet? No, the cornet. The cornet, like the baby trumpet.
Like the one that they do at the...
little tiny one.
Yeah.
It's like a little baby trumpet.
The one they do on Remembrance Day.
Yeah. That was... I think I started with guitar, but I definitely had a period of time where I feel
like most people end up dabbling in some sort of classical instrument that they just don't really want to play.
Yeah, I feel like school pushes that on you,
which they should have. I think is a good thing.
I agree. Yeah,
100%. But did that, stopped doing that, and then I think I was like 11 or 12, and a friend of mine had a guitar, and I remember like whenever we go to his house, I would always just like want to play, but I would never do anything with my left hand. I would just sit there and just strum like the open strings. And then that is awful. One Christmas, I remember saying to my mum, "Does like I really want to learn how to play the guitar." Mate, sort it out. Do you use the toilet?
Sorry, please.
And yeah, I said I really want to play the guitar. So my parents got me like, those like Gear for Music kits where it was like a little practice amp, and I think it was like an Encore. It looked like a strap, but it was like half size and whatever. I was like 11. And then started being taught by Charlie Northedge of Chords in Jersey.
Okay.
I think it's called SOPM now in Jersey. But did that like every week, and then just like fell in love with playing guitar. And that was like kind of it, basically. So I like just played, I think I did grade 4 or grade 5 in the end, and then up until GCSEs. Then I think I stopped having lessons. And that was like purely electric guitar. And then I really got into acoustic guitar. So like John Mayer acoustic stuff that I got into, and then it was like John Butler.
What's your favourite John Mayer song?
Like that. My favourite John Mayer song. That's difficult.
Slow Dancing in a Burning Room is a tune.
It is a tune. It varies. I think at the moment, also very good.
You seen the live?
Yeah, so that was the one that I was like, I was like, I'm going to learn that. I used to be able to play. It's not easy.
Not easy.
No, it's not easy. Favourite John Mayer song, probably Helpless, which is off his Search for Everything album, which is pretty good.
Okay. Don't know
then just did acoustic guitar. Then got back into electric guitar again when I was at uni. And then that's kind of it. I tried to learn the piano over lockdown, didn't go very well, and I think I'm going to stick with stringed instrument. Yeah, basically
nice.
Consolidate. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Nice.
Can we ask you questions?
If you want, you go on. Yeah, you want to ask me a question.
What's your music history?
What is my music history? Musical parents. Yeah, musical parents. Yeah, my mum was singing and playing guitar whilst I was in the womb, and they've been playing since they were, 10.
Yeah.
And I was born when they were 40. So, musical their life, musical my life. I can't remember a time where I didn't have a guitar in my hands growing up. And then, I think I started writing songs when I was maybe 10 or 11.
Oh, that's quite
something like that. Like I always just liked the idea of writing some sort of lyrics, but when you're that young, you don't really have a good grip on inspiration. Obviously you have inspiration, but it's very minimal, and it's it's probably awful. I wish I could hear some of the stuff I was writing when I was 10 or 11.
I wish we could hear it.
Yeah. I have a memory of sitting down at a mate's house, and my dad had his guitar because we were around for some like family barbecue. There were like 5 of my mates sat around. My dad was playing some guitar, then I played some guitar, and I like started singing, and one of my mates started like laughing at it. My dad was like, "Don't laugh." And just I don't know. I think I progressed with that. I never studied music. I had a couple of years of piano lessons, maybe 10 or 11. My sister was always better than me at piano, and then we stopped for whatever reason. I think we just fell out of love with it. Never did any grades. I still can't read music.
No, neither can I. Can you read music? Can you?
Nice. Look at this guy. What I find a lot is like almost everyone I speak to who writes and creates can barely read music. Doesn't really know. Like the majority of people doesn't really know.
Well, there's a spectrum. I think it depends on I think if you come from a guitar background, then you don't need to necessarily learn to read a stave. At least you read tab music. Whereas I think if you're from a piano background, everything is sheet music, isn't it? So I feel like it depends. Yeah. Could you still read sheet music now, even if you like?
Oh yeah,
really?
Read it. But I mean, if you're
could you sight read it?
Yeah, sight reading. It would take me longer.
Okay.
But in theory, I can read it.
You can read
But if you've got like super dense chords, then it takes so long for my brain to process it now because I've not done it.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Quite impressive though.
Thanks, mate.
That's fine.
I appreciate it. Like if I could read music.
It's quite simple.
No, it's not. I did music GCSE and it was so hard.
It's like reading. If you can read tabs, you can count. I think you can basically.
I can't read tabs.
You can't read tabs?
I wouldn't know what I was looking at. Yeah. I just make it up.
You're definitely the worst out of the
Yeah, exactly. I will just play and listen to what sounds good, and then sometimes it doesn't even sound good. But
you said it, not me.
Yeah. Can't read music. Never learn or learned a bit through piano and then stopped.
But so how have you figured out you're a decent guitar player?
You know what? A lot of like the guitar that has featured on my tracks have been my dad's and yours, obviously.
But you come up with all the chords and the rhythm guitar. I only play little bits.
Partially true. I mean, Hideaway and Lead Me On, the first 2 songs that I released, wouldn't have been around without you and the stuff that you sent over, which was like, here's a 16-bar loop of stuff. And then, just...
Yeah, but all the other stuff, though, like the other stuff.
I think Over Again and Ain't Gonna Stay are the only 2 that I've actually had input on the guitar. And then even then, Over Again, my dad plays lead guitar. The thing with me is I can play guitar, but I'm not very tight and technical. I feel like I don't like to play live because I feel almost loose with my playing. And I prefer the focus to be on the vocal performance. And I think I notice it in my sets when I'm playing guitar and having to, it would come with practice, but when I'm having to think about the guitar, it brings the vocal performance down, and it brings the concentration out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I think my vocal performance
because I don't sing, so I don't have to I'm literally can just focus on one thing. Whereas if you're singing, you're either playing the guitar or playing the keys.
There's a way you can almost switch into autopilot, isn't there? And singing is the autopilot bit, and you're thinking about the guitar. But to your point, like
so the singing is autopilot, not the guitar.
Yeah.
Really? I would have thought it'd be the other. I thought the chords would be autopilot, and the singing would be what you.
No.
Yeah,
really?
That's actually a great way of putting it. Like when we played the Portobello gig, the vocals I wasn't even thinking about. It's just like they're just coming out, and like I'm looking down at the chords, like, am I getting the right chords? Am I doing this right?
Really?
And everything else is just.
And then you're like counting down. I know this bridge is coming, and it's hard as hell.
Yeah,
you're like sweating for that.
Yeah, but that means when you're doing something on autopilot, you're not actively trying to do it the best you can.
Yeah. Mad. I don't know. I was just doing it the other way around.
Yeah. Anyway, so moved on to study music technology at A level. Did that for must have been 2 years, and got a C. Didn't nice. Really put a lot of my.
It's a pass, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Pass. There's nothing technical about it. C is a pass.
There you go.
C is I think D is a pass. In fact, isn't E a pass?
I'm not sure about that.
I don't know.
Who's giving passes around where you're at? Because
I actually do think an E
in
might
Jersey,
be a pass.
E is a pass.
Yeah, E is a pass.
Really?
If you get an F, fail.
Okay.
But E, come to uni. So got my C, and then went and studied history at uni. So nothing to do with music. Obviously, what did you study at uni?
Biology.
What did you study at uni?
Materials engineering.
Nice. Look at us. Look at us. But like music, you do meet people who have gone and studied music and put that time into it. This is something I like to plug. Sometimes you need to almost have a balance and like a world without music to inspire you in your music, rather than surrounding yourself in this like music study. And
I think that's probably true. I think if everything is music theory and music, the study of music, you become very in your own head of like, I'm going to write a song, but I need it to be, in terms of the chords needs to be interesting, and in terms of the theory needs to be interesting. Whereas actually if you're going to write it, you're probably best off just playing what you want to play and then it coming away from that. But I don't know. I mean, when we were at Birmingham, there was the what was that group called with Adam Jackson in? There was this group of Birmingham that played all of this like really sick like jazz fusion music, and they were all music students. And it's going to really annoy me. I can't remember the name. They did that TikTok video,
but were they pretty damn good?
They were unbelievable.
Yeah.
They were unbelievable. But what was they did that video where it's the guy Seb, the bassist Seb, and the guitarist, and he was really
Odd Soul.
Odd Soul. Odd Soul.
Yeah.
Odd Soul.
They
were really, really good. Like all their music was like really funky and really cool. But they were all music students, so they'd have like one song with like 10 key changes in it and that kind of stuff.
I find it a lot where vocal lyrical ideas come to me. I'm starting now.
He's just dropped them as well.
I find it a lot where my ideas come to me in the car, like I'm driving, and it's a funny one because it's like you can't be playing the guitar there. You can't have that, or like some sort of, I guess you do have the inspiration from say your radio or the music you're playing, but for me, where I'm usually quite inspired by something on my guitar first, or something else, some sort of guitar sample or lick, that half the time you've sent me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I find a lot of things they just come to me in the car. Like, do you have something like
100%? I get like
weird, like 1 a.m. waking up,
regardless of what time it is.
Waking up's a good one. Like, okay, here's a funny one. I've had dreams. Did I tell you about the name I thought of for a band?
No.
Okay. This was really rogue, right? But it sounds cool. The Cardigan Spares, right?
The Cardigan Spares.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, I don't know.
But I don't
like
know.
it. Yeah.
There's something, I feel like there's something
Cardigan's
interesting.
Quite a nice.
Yeah, there's like a
nice
warmth
word,
to it. Yeah. And that phrase literally came to me in my sleep. And it's like, it almost doesn't make sense. But I woke up And there's a voice note on my phone at like 1 a.m. where I'm just like, the cardigan spares. I put my phone down, I just go back to sleep.
I've got so many of those. I actually had, that reminds me, so I had a dream once where I wrote, I'm not joking, the best song in the world. And I remember in the dream being like, right, I got to remember this when I wake up. Because it was one of those where, like, strangely, I knew I was dreaming.
Yeah.
I woke up, couldn't remember a thing.
Yeah.
Didn't Paul McCartney or one of the Beatles write Let It Be in a dream? That was the thing. They woke up and just like banged out on the piano and they were like, there we go. Maybe not Let It Be, but one of the Beatles songs was
okay.
I think.
It's interesting. There are times when I think maybe in a deeper dream state, I've been like, yes, this is the one. I've figured it out. This is incredible. This sounds amazing. And you wake up and I think in the dream, you just thought you had something. You couldn't actually hear anything anything
100%.
Audible.
100%.
But there are other times when it is audible and I can hear something. I can hear like some sort of vocal line, some sort of word, some sort of tune. And I can wake up and I can try and put it into my notes or write it down. And that is great. It is a weird, interesting phenomenon. Might be time to look into some notes.
I do have, while we stay on this point, I did have a funny note which I did want to share.
Oh,
well, I didn't really want to share, but I think.
But it's, you know.
So what I've done in the middle of the night is, because I couldn't sing in the middle of the night, I don't know, I guess, you know, I didn't want to wake anyone up or whatever. I've drawn in the tune that I had in my head.
Shall we just turn that around and shout to the camera? That's quite, that's funny.
So you can see it's like proper scrawled. And
are you going to read the lyrics out though?
I mean, they're terrible.
Go on,
take me in, let me out. You're the reason I'm without.
That's nice.
But you can see the shapes. So I've got my top note, and then I drop down to take me in.
Yeah.
And then it follows that. You can see the next line there. It has never amounted to nothing.
Never amounted to anything. Have you never done anything with it?
No, not that.
But it's interesting how those things just come to you.
Like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, right, I'm going to read this out. So this was 7th of October 2018 at 2:25 in the afternoon. So I'd probably just woken up from a nap if it was that time at uni. That was my prime napping time. And this was when we'd kind of just started as a band. We started, this was a year after we're playing as a band because we joined in 2017. And it was sort of my first attempt at writing lyrics, because I'm not really a lyrical person at all, really. Everything with me is normally starting from a music thing. So I had this tune, I had this, and oh god. So there's okay. So
I love these.
The chorus was, "The way you're playing, girl, and makes me want to run away. I wish I could help feeling this way." And then, where's the rest of it?
When did you meet Millie?
This was not right. So, okay, that's important. So this was, we merely were together at this point, but this wasn't particularly about a person. This was because, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, I feel like when you don't have something to write about, and I did have stuff to write about, obviously, but it's a lot easier. I found it a lot easier to just picture like either one of my friends' situations or just a completely fictional situation and write about that instead. I found it a lot easier to kind of be objective.
I do find that. I've chatted about this before. It's a lot of my songs are usually about my mate's situations rather than my situations.
And I don't know why that is though, because I think you
can imagine it more, I think.
Yeah, but then you'd think, well, if it was about you, you'd have a bit more of an emotional kind of. Anyway. So this wasn't about anyone in particular. I thought it was kind of like a few of my mate's situations while we were at uni, and it was anyway. So how did the chorus go? Yeah, it was that. Yeah, the way you play it makes me want to. No, we played this song as a band, but then we tried to record it, and then we sort of sacked it off, didn't we? Anyway, so yeah, the way you're playing God makes me want to run away. I wish I could feel in this way. And now you got me stepping to the side. I'm trying to get you off my mind. And then the verse was, you got my head spinning, you got my eyes blinking, thinking about what to do or how to play this now. I was thinking about you all the time and had you on my mind. You were giving me all these signs, so I tried hard, tried for you. I was successful too, but what did that mean to you? Now, this next line was, I thought at the time was quite clever, but on reflection, a little bit crude, would you say? We had to basically, when we started playing this live,
A little bit.
we started playing it live, and in rehearsal, Andy and Lucy were straight like, we can't sing this. So it was, the last line is, what does that mean to you? And then it's, was I just another stain on your bedsheet or someone else to complain about in your tweets? And also then, this was a song that Lucy, it fit really well in Lucy's vocal range. So then she was singing that, and then it just takes on a whole other meaning and just shouldn't have been sung. So we had to,
rightly so. That one just had a little tweak there.
Yeah, fair.
I think we should just leave that there.
It's nice though. I rate that.
I thought it was really clever.
Yeah,
I was like, this rhymes. It's, it kind of has a bit of a punch to it.
Yeah. Interesting connotation.
Yeah. But it was my first sort of attempt at writing lyrics as well. Right.
Nice.
And I think you can see why I stopped writing lyrics, I suppose, after that. But yeah, that's the one I've got that goes the furthest back.
You do write lyrics for the band though, don't you? There is some input.
You do, yeah. 100%.
Well,
how many songs have you written?
You do.
So Speak My Mind was the first song I kind of wrote start to finish. And all the lyrics for that I wrote, except I think we kind of changed a few words here and there. But then most of the other songs, I would say no. I think
it's so difficult to recall. I think you've definitely had some input.
Yeah, but I think my input is better placed from the musical side of things. I think I don't know. I'm just not very, like, how like some people, I think you're a good example of this, where you write these lyrics and they have like really strong meaning and they are profound and really kind of have these like double meanings and stuff. I feel like if I try to write lyrics, it's more what works in terms of syllables and what kind of makes sense in the song, and then I apply meaning to it retrospectively, as opposed to the other way around, which is kind of, I don't know, just kind of the way that I always work.
That kind of happens for me as well sometimes. Like sometimes it's just like it works with the rhyming and then the meaning comes in later, and that's okay, I think. At least I try and tell myself that. But
yeah, oh, no,
that's kind of
that's exactly what I do. I'll just mumble and then maybe pick out some words and then just try and string them together.
I mean, do you get this thing, and we've had this so many times, where you're writing a demo and you have a vocal line but you don't have lyrics, so you then go, right, I'm just going to sing some nonsense words just to fill the space because you just don't want to hum, and then when you come back to it you're like, I really like those nonsense words, I don't want to actually put these lyrics in anymore because that random word that we had as the last line I prefer to anything else that we've got, and then you almost try and work the lyrics around those like nonsense words that you said at the beginning.
I just hum. I tend to just hum. Yeah, I'll just like make weird noises and just fill in the gaps.
Oh, maybe we should start doing that then.
But I feel like nonsense words is good because you're still like generating, at least like there is something that you can maybe take from that. Whereas if you're just humming, you're just maybe getting the vocal melody in, you're just getting the timing in.
Yeah, I feel like as well with singing nonsense words, you get the kind of syllabic changes in the song as well. Like if you want kind of, a longer word here and a shorter word here and kind of stabby bits here, maybe you don't get that with humming. I don't know. But yeah. But yeah. What have you...
I've just found one. Right.
Also, if you've done lots of podcasts, you must have a lot of notes to fill out.
There's quite a few.
You can't be
notes.
reusing notes. Some of these hardcore fans are going to be,
Yeah, I know. They're going to start noticing that. No, to be fair, there's thousands. Like there's so many notes, and I don't know like what your experience is. Andy,
how far through do you get though? I mean, are yours like 2 lines?
Oh yeah, some of them are just like, look, this one's just 4 lines.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and this actually looks like an absolute rip-off of something that Ed Sheeran did, but it's like the opposite of it. So he's got a song that's like, I'm not a singer. Oh no, I'm not a rapper. I'm a singer with a flow.
I like that song. Take It Back.
Yeah, Take It Back tune. And I think I've written here, I'm not a rapper, I'm a singer who just knows how to use his words in quick succession. Everything just flows.
Well, that's quite good though. I quite like that.
But it's just stealing a little bit of inspiration.
Yeah, no,
which like I think they would. But ties in nicely. Like, hit me with some of your biggest inspirations.
Very diverse, I think. I mean, like for me, because guitar was the thing, like everything was guitar focused. So like I mentioned John Mayer massively. Tom Misch is a big one. Parcels, I think, as well.
Not heard of Parcels.
You not heard of Parcels?
Yeah, send me some Parcels.
Yeah, Parcels very good. But I think it kind of depends on what I've been listening to at the time. I would say, like when, especially during writing. I mean, we said to Tim on the radio the other day that the idea for Red Light came from me listening to an artist called Mahalia on the BBC from her set at Glastonbury, and like she's not necessarily a direct influence of me. I think she's great, but that influenced that particular song. And Speak My Mind similarly was influenced a lot by Tom Mish's kind of stuff. I don't know. It varies. I think and I think also it's quite nice. And Andy will talk more to it, but like we have a really different set of musical influences. Like there's obviously bands that we both like, but there's other stuff that I probably listen to that he doesn't like, and vice versa. And then it's kind of that like nexus of those influences that kind of give us what
Nexus,
it's a good word, isn't it? Yeah. That came to me.
What does nexus mean?
The like kind of where they meet is, I think that's what nexus means. Anyway.
Should we Google it?
Just roll with it, mate. Just roll with it.
That's what it means.
A connection or series of connections linking two or more things.
Oh, there we are. I was right.
You should have just gone with it, mate.
You should have shown that.
Well, I would have done if you hadn't said,
Sorry.
Anyway.
Sowing seeds of doubt.
And therefore we have that kind of like, and also the other guys as well. I mean, Joe, the drummer, Joe Friend, he loves like heavy metal, doesn't he? And like math rock and stuff like that, which is completely different.
I do like a bit of math rock,
do you?
actually.
I don't even know what it is. Generally, I don't know what it is.
There's one I got introduced to by a bloke I work with, who's kind of into his like emo punk stuff. There's this one song which I'll send to you because it is a tune. American Football is band, and they're more of like a mainstream kind of math rock. I'll see if I can find the tune.
Yeah, and it's a funny time signature, isn't it?
Yes, and that's kind of like the element that's part of math rock. It's like they will do weird time signatures.
Like Tool, are they math rock? Because they write like weird time signatures and stuff. But anyway, he's really into that. But sorry, you talk about your
Never Meant by American Football.
Okay,
tune.
Right,
so good.
Go on.
What's the question?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Inspirations.
What's the definition of nexus?
Tell me about like who influences you most, artist wise.
I mean, do you know what? It's one of those. It's one of those. You could go through my Spotify liked songs, and there's so much variation. Like at the moment, Sabrina Carpenter, I like phenomenal.
I agree.
And it's
good music.
I think pop music is in that phase at the moment where variation is embraced, whereas I feel like a few years ago it was super repetitive, and that was the entry into the charts, was be super catchy, pull away in being super inventive, because it's just trends, right? Whereas now we've obviously, Sabrina's got that key change in Please, Please, Please. That wasn't happening a few years ago, so I think pop music is in a cool place at the moment, I have to say.
It's cool to be interesting.
Yeah.
100%.
But also a lot of your influences is like the old singer-songwriter kind of.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's where I started. Like Lewis Watson, that is my roots, 100%. But I'd say at the moment, I mean, it is pop music. It's indie pop music, There's a band called Laney who...
Not heard of them. You'll have to send me some stuff.
They're huge, absolutely huge, but I think they're phenomenal, Guy called Lauv, who does I Like Me Better. You'll know the songs. And that's super pop music, But for me, I think it's nice because it's the pop music where you can tell there's more complicated undertones, It's not your
four chord kind of.
No, but it is, but they're used in a very complicated way.
Okay.
We were talking about how lyrics often come second to us, right? Music first. I saw a really interesting point, and it was one of the writers of September by Earth, Wind and Fire saying, so it goes, there's a bit where it goes, I, no, 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 no. They were trying to put lyrics to that bit, and one of the other writers was like, you don't need lyrics, just make it sound good. So what's your opinion on people saying that sometimes lyrics
You don't need them. That's an interesting one. I love that I'm getting questions as well. It's like, put me on the spot. I've grown up in a household where there's two things that my dad doesn't like, right? One of them is whistling on songs, and the other one is making random noises for the sake of filling a gap. So I've always had that like in my mind. But I think there was one thing, it's like, oh, they're only doing that so people can just copy it and do it back. It's not like music. But my dad's a funny, grumpy old 68-year-old man. I'm going to have to cut that out. But yeah, my dad has said those things. So I don't know. I think I see a quality in being able to fit something in that isn't necessarily lyrics, and it's just some sort of vocalization of something, because that can be quite catchy in itself.
Yeah.
Like what you just said with the Earth, Wind and Fire September song. That's almost like the one thing you think of when you think of that song. You think of the So maybe that's something to think about. Like almost not thinking too much about lyrics sometimes and just thinking about the sound. Interestingly, I was speaking to a producer, my mate Roger, and he mixes and masters and produces great tracks, right? And he was saying how when he sends someone something and they send him back the vocals, he's 99% of the time not listening to the words. It's more about how it sounds and the melody of it. So yeah, I guess for some people, there's clearly appreciation in just the way something sounds rather than what's being said.
But do you think that's the musician's interpretation of songs though? Like, do you think because we all produce music, you listen to a song and the first thing you hear is the production? You hear, like for me, I think, oh, that guitar's really cool. Or you guys as singers might think, oh, their vocal, whatever is really cool. But if you're someone that isn't a musician or isn't in producing, do you think those people listen to the lyrics more? They have more of that kind of attachment to the words being said, as opposed to just latching on to like you watching films. Do you ever watch a film and think, oh, that lighting's really bad, or that that transition was really bad, or do you just watch the film?
I noticed it more, less negative, more positive. Like I would be like, oh, I see what they did there. But I see how they did that.
Does it take you out of the film?
Sometimes, but sometimes it also like makes me appreciate it more in a way.
But do you see the analogy? Like if I'm watching a film, I'm there for the story and I'm attached to that.
Yeah.
Do you think people have that kind of relationship with the song? If they don't care about the musicianship, they just want to hear
it as a piece of the story, rather than think about the technical bits. Yeah. But I also think maybe people are affected subconsciously by the things that, say, musicians or producers pick up. Yeah. Like we notice why something makes us feel a certain way, or what we like about something, whereas other people just go, oh, I like that, but they don't know why.
Why it makes me,
I think that's maybe, I'm just riffing.
No, but I think that's right.
That's what makes sense to me. Yeah. I think, there's quality in certain things, and it's probably a skill to know what sound, like I think it's a skill to think, okay, that works, and I haven't even listened to what words are being said, because then you listen to the words and it's like, that could add another thing. If it sounds good, even without thinking about the words.
Yeah, and then the words make sense to the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, maybe it's a benefit. Maybe
I was wondering about that though. Because me and you, or three of us, can't really help listening to a song and thinking straight away about all that, I mean, you will definitely be, that chord was out of time. He's played that. Honestly, every time I send him a bass part or a guitar part, comes back every time. That note was early. That was late. That was, do it
You
again.
don't make it easy for me, mate.
Oh, honestly, every single time.
Do you mix with Logic?
Yeah.
Do you ever use
Well, I don't really mix, to be fair.
Okay.
I'll do like
but the editing,
super rough. Yeah.
So do you ever use Flex?
Yeah.
Oh, Flex time.
So
Mate,
useful. I feel like timing things, maybe it's not always ideal, but I will just move stuff along. I'll make like a whole new thing.
Yeah, he's king of that.
Yeah, well, especially when I'm working with you.
Do you send something and then it comes back like a completely different line?
It doesn't come back as a different line. He just tells me to do it again. I'll spend like I've recently learned how to play the bass.
And I thought you were going to say guitar, mate.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still learning that, unfortunately. But I know how to play the bass because it's just we're going to play the bass on these like recent tracks, and I'm not very good at the bass, but like I play it as a guitar player would play it, which is probably not how it should be played, but either way. And I'll spend ages being like, right, that's one on the one, that's like a little pop of an octave, and it needs to be kind of on the grid. And I'll think, I've absolutely smashed that take. There's no way this is coming back with notes. Send it to him. 10 minutes later, no, do it again.
The thing is, you have to find the imperfections that work. That's the difficulty, isn't it?
True.
It's not all about just getting it on the grid, because sometimes that's not right.
It's too robotic as well. Yeah, no, you're right. But anyway, I think, do you ever, like, back to the point we were talking about, like when you listen to the song, I'm the same now, but surely you're listening to it and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure about that. That note was early, or I don't think that part goes there, or that part goes
Not
there.
really.
And it takes you out of the song, does it not?
Because I think,
Absolutely,
honestly,
all the
the
time.
music that I listen to is professionally done.
Yeah.
And so
polished.
actually you don't have those issues.
So maybe not then the imperfections, but more the design choices. Like, oh, if I was doing that, I wouldn't have put that string part there. Do you get that?
Sometimes, not always.
Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you personally disagree with that arrangement.
I don't have that.
Do you not?
I don't. A lot of the stuff I listen to, I'm like, this sounds pretty good to
you just
me.
take it as it is,
sometimes sometimes a lot of the stuff, interestingly, I listen to, like drum and bass and dance music. That's just so not in the same world of music that I create.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily listening for certain things and hearing certain things. It's maybe easier to notice when you listen to older recordings of stuff and you can hear the difference.
Yeah, in the production.
Yeah, but I guess that's not necessarily the playing. It's more the sound and the production and the quality.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone can notice something sounding better now than it would 50 years ago. But yeah, I can't say I have that. Do you listen to some stuff like, that sucks?
No, not in a judgy way. Not like that. More just like
I would have done something different. Is it that kind of thing? Like I feel like I would have wanted it to go here. Okay, you know what? Sorry. In that line, I do get that sometimes. I will listen to songs and I'll be like, it'll go to a note that I'm like, I really wanted that in my like soul to go somewhere else.
Yes.
And I felt like everything was taking me to this place and you didn't take me there. And there's this feeling of disappointment. Yeah. Do you know? Yeah, I do get that.
I also think it's more guitar for me. Like I will always listen to the guitar in a song, even if it's the tiny littlest guitar part, just because that's where my ear goes. And there's parts of me where I listen to someone playing, I'm like, oh, I wish you'd have, like you said, done that or not done that or whatever. But not in a negative way. It's more just what I would do.
It's what you're influenced by and what you want to hear based on what you like.
Yeah. But then also, again, like we'll have a demo and I'll be like, right, I'm going to shred over this and play so much guitar and just like, and then you're like, yeah, you played way too much on that you need to dial that back. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. Fair. So I guess it swings and roundabouts, I suppose.
Yeah, I get you.
Just on that, I remember listening to a song fairly recently where it was a super old song. They'd panned the kick drum.
Oosh.
And the snare was like somewhere wildly different. And even then I was like, mad, that's not what I would have done. But fair enough,
Do you ever get it when you're listening on headphones, like you're walking, and then someone they've panned something really, really hard, left or right, and it kind of like throws you off of it when you're walking because you're like, oh shit, what was that? And you're like, oh no, it's just the song.
I have had
that happen to me the other day. I was walking, like crossing the road, and I thought a car was coming, and just because they panned like some weird crash really far left.
I get it with, I feel like everyone has this, but like sirens in songs.
Oh yeah.
And I will be listening to like a Loyal Kana song and I'm driving and I hear sirens and I'm like, I start pulling over. I'm like, I need to get out of the way.
No, you're right. That happens.
Yeah, which is maybe not the same as the panning.
No, but similar idea.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like, oh, come on, just behave yourself.
Yeah.
Right, come on, let's get into some more notes.
That's my phone. I don't think I've got any more lyrics. We've got lyrics of songs that we've released.
Yeah, hit us with it. We can break some stuff down. I want to hear the stories behind it, I guess.
So we recorded and released a song called Lose My Mind in September 2023. I think.
Not very good with dates.
No, but
You're probably
it
right.
was written like 3 years before. The guitar part, at least, and the musical side of things was written in lockdown. But we had this really, really nice, which you wrote, the first line, which is "Passion plays the night away," and like we were like, "Oh, that's so nice!" Like the word "passion" and like the way that it kind of was phrased was really cool. So that kind of made its way through, and then I just haven't got the full lyrics on my phone. But we can
play it if you want.
I mean,
we can play it and break it down.
I can play you the initial idea, and then I can show you.
You know what? Yeah. Do you have like the early ideas? What I would like to hear is like the build up, and I guess when you're at uni together, maybe which you weren't in 2023.
No, so this was lockdown.
Okay.
And which was interesting because I'd never really built demos up on my laptop before, but because we were in lockdown and I didn't have any way of kind of recording it onto your laptop or whatever, everything was done that way. And all I could do was just plug my guitar into my interface. I had no other, I was not very good at, I'm still not very good at Logic. And so everything was done just with my guitar. So we had, is this going to play? So we had like these 4 different guitar parts, which sound like this. But kind of like looping that.
Yeah.
And then, so we had that riff, the da, 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 and then because I can't sing, basically, when I have a vocal line and I want to kind of write that down, I will play my guitar for it. So the only vocal line that I contributed to that song, so I'm not very good at vocal melodies, whereas Andy's really good at them, was this bit. So this is the pre-chorus. I'll hear it in a minute. This bit.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the song. So that line is sung in the song now.
Yeah.
But that was
it like you mean it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that was I can't sing. I didn't have a microphone to sing into, even if I wanted to. So my kind of way of building up a demo, and before I send it to him, who then will sing on it, is just playing the guitar line and doing that. So that's how that started.
In terms of like building it up, do you work with the drum track and bass and build over that? Is it a combo of both? You both build tracks by themselves, or how does the process go for you guys creating music?
Depends on the song. I'm very kind of just guitars. I'll be honest. If I'm on Logic, it'll be a kick and a snare. Maybe I'll have a vague idea of what the bass is going to sound like, but most of the time it's just guitars. And then I'll send it to you. And Andy obviously plays the piano, plays the keys, is much better a producer than I am. And then you'll then get all your other ideas and stack those up. And then once we're at that point, then it becomes a bit of you sort of just attack the project together, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, you have to have an idea that you feel is worth building out first. Mm-hmm. So like you say, you start with your basic kick snare, chords if you need them. And if you're like, okay, this is going somewhere, then you're like, all right, I'll bring in a bit of shaker. I'll bring in a tambourine. Next thing you know, you've got some djembe on there,
Do you mix with Logic? Do you create and produce with Logic?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I think it has to get the green light first, and then you start building a bit of a groove. Because it's so easy to get stuck in a loop. Like if you're making beats, for example, and you've got your 4-bar loop that you're like, this is unreal. It's so easy to just sit there and loop for 4 hours, and you're like, oh, I've not come up with anything yet. And it's like you're almost trying to squeeze something into that idea. So it's quite nice having your basic chords and be like, this gets the green light, this doesn't.
Got you.
Yeah, that's how I describe it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's always lyrics always come after us, don't they? I don't think we've ever written a song where we've written the lyrics first.
Probably not.
Because Elton John,
it's not great for a lyrics podcast, is it? But that's part of it, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
but
our-
But also,
actually,
it's like
a lot
it's
of people are
the
like that.
influence that comes to the lyrics, because the lyrics obviously come. There are lyrics in your
Yeah,
song, so
yeah,
but they
yeah.
come from somewhere, and that's an interesting one. Like I often find that I need inspiration. Like I will sometimes get little vocal ideas, but usually inspiration comes from music first and something giving me a certain rhythm to something or a certain vibe, and then the lyrics flow out with that.
Yeah, which is why I think it's like so Elton John doesn't write any of his lyrics. Bernie Taupin writes all the lyrics, gives them to Elton John.
True?
Yeah, he writes
He's
the
never
lyrics.
written any.
Well, I don't think so. I thought Bernie Taupin, is that right? Yeah, Bernie Taupin writes all the words, gives them to Elton John, who turns them into songs. Which, like, imagine being given the lyrics to Rocket Man, and
writing a bad song.
and writing a writing a.
As in,
well,
no,
we
sorry.
could. I think we
not
could write
saying,
a bad song.
Not saying that he's written a bad song, but imagine getting that gift and then making a really bad song.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
what I meant.
Okay,
But
so
imagine-
he makes the music around the lyrics. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So
okay, got you.
I give you a sheet of full lyrics and say write a song.
Right.
Like how you'd have to then fit everything around that. And what's the first line of? It's like something. Put my bags on the plane pre-flight or something. Because that's the first line.
Yeah.
Like where do you? I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
Yeah, maybe that's something to try. But it's like
I think it'd be interesting actually.
it would be an exercise to take lyrics. You'd have to take the lyrics from somewhere else, which is not what I've ever done. Because
Have you ever used ChatGPT to try and write lyrics?
I haven't, but I've thought about how. Like I have thought about that. The idea of that, and like,
What's your view on it?
I mean,
I guess it kind of echoes to what we were saying earlier, right? Is an ooh a good lyric?
maybe I don't know. I think you're getting a bit tricksy and false, to quote Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
But if someone really likes it, is it bad art?
Well, that's true.
Right.
But
I guess. But is it yours?
Oh, that's the important
that's
question.
a
Yes.
very important question.
I
Is
think
it
you've
yours?
just answered a hell of a lot of
Is it yours?
Yeah.
issues around that.
Yeah. And also, I don't know, like, if you're releasing something and you're like proud of it, would you be less or more proud of it if you didn't feel like it was sincere because you didn't write it?
Does it have to be sincere though?
I'm not saying it does. It's just an individual thing, I think. But like, if you're saying, oh, like, hey, family and friends, here's this new song I wrote. I really like it. But by the way, the lyrics weren't written by me. It was written by a computer. I don't know, maybe you wouldn't tell people. But like, do you know what I mean?
Okay, I can see there are some tasks that you almost just want to like automate. That makes sense, right? So I will sometimes write songs and I will try and think of, I'll have words out and I'll be like missing the end of a line of say one verse, and it's because I need a certain rhyme. And I can see the usefulness in just like chucking that into ChatGPT and just being like, give me stuff that like give me something that will fit in with this. Here is like 95% of the song. Give me a line that works here, which I haven't necessarily done, but I can see that being useful.
Yeah,
Do you know Rhyme Zone?
I do. I have used Rhyme Zone a lot. Yeah. And it's just like, give me rhymes with this. And I've used that. I do use that a lot when I'm writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think from birth, creation coming from ChatGPT, it feels naughty. It feels bad.
Feels wrong.
I mean, yeah, it feels wrong.
I mean, if you're like, please write me a love song about this, this, and this. 2 verses, 1 chorus, and a bridge, please.
Yeah.
That gives you something.
But
Do you
also,
know what? I wouldn't hate it. If you come out with a really good tune at the end of it,
do you
and
think?
you go, whoops. Yeah.
We wouldn't go whoops. It wasn't an accident. well, maybe we disagree.
It's one of those things where it's like you have to decide that it's good. So there's still some input.
Yeah, you still have a human.
Also, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No, I get
I'm
you.
not, I'm not.
Yeah.
This isn't actually
every
my
single
full
Portobello
stance.
song is from ChatGPT.
Yeah, Andy,
But I'm just sort of thinking about
Give
it.
us a man.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it. So
I'm never
No,
going to
it is an
back to this
interesting one.
lyrics podcast.
yeah.
It is an interesting one because
Big topic for today as well.
no, it is a big topic
5
for
years
today.
ago it wouldn't be a
Yeah,
discussion
that's a good point.
You hear some like AI created music, and
some of it is so good.
exactly, some of it is good, but I also think there's quality in knowing that something is real. I think there's the example that gets thrown around is the Post Malone thing. It's like, if you listen to a song that sounds exactly like Post Malone and exactly like how he produces it. And you listen to a similar song that is actually written by Post Malone and produced by the same people that produce him, do you like the one that's actually by him more? Yeah, probably, because you know it's from a real person.
But what if you don't know? Like, I don't think there's any disclaimer that's required if you use AI on a song now, is there? I know like a lot of stuff has to say...
You do have to say if it's solely made, then you do have to actually say
okay. Because then, like, let's say you don't know which one is real, which one's AI and which one's not, then you don't have that information to make the decision which one you like better.
I agree.
And I bet you, if there was a blind test, people would pick AI over.
I've got to find this song. So it's a rap song that AI has made it into a country song, and it is phenomenal.
Is it Old Town Road?
No. But it's like it's almost like gangster rap, like talking about killing people and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
but
and
it's country
sung with this like country twang, and it's incredible.
And it's all AI, even the vocals, everything.
Yeah.
No, I think that's scary.
It is scary. I like it, and it will unlock a load of things. I'd like to think it will unlock things, and it will break down barriers of creation.
I think it'll make it easier for people to produce.
Yes, it will. And there's like, I'll look up like AI plugins to do certain things with mixing and mastering. I think there's really useful stuff that's coming out that will, you can put 2 tracks through a plugin that will tell you, and AI is a funny one because there's AI, there's what people say is AI, and then there's actually what AI is.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you the difference, but AI gets slapped on so many things. Anyway, this software will tell you where the 2 frequencies are clashing, and it's like mixing buddy or something.
Yeah.
And
on the EQ, and then
on the EQ, and you can shape stuff, and I can appreciate things that make things easier for you.
But like, I think the other thing is, to an extension of that, is I'm very like logic illiterate. I don't really know how to dial in the sounds that I want to dial in. So for example, when we're at the studio and I'm saying to the producer, or even to you to an extent, oh, the guitar sounds really tinny, or it sounds like a bit damp. Like using words that damp. Do you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? When the guitar sounds damp.
I'd get damp.
And like, you're like, it doesn't sound...
My guitar always sounds damp.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like, I know what I mean when I say those words. And the producer also knows what I mean. But what then he can then do is then say, well, I know that means that this frequency is too high or too low, and I can adjust it. But if AI could translate that into that, and I could type in and say, make this guitar sound less damp, or make it sound more this or that, and it could then dial in the frequency for me, and I could then kind of finesse that would completely...
that would change the game.
Yeah.
You would have an AI mixing, but I think it realistically...
That will exist somewhere, or will.
It probably does exist, and
in its infancy though, right? I don't think
in its infancy, yeah, but I don't know. It doesn't seem too complicated, the idea of having something that you could say, this sounds like this to me, change the frequencies so that it sounds less like this. And words like that are used to describe things like, you have your muddy mids, or your this sounds
damp
muddy.
Guitar.
This sounds a little bit wet.
Yeah, there we are. Perfect.
But yeah,
Translate that.
It feels like it should exist already.
Yeah. I mean, it exists in other industries. Like if you've got a whole thing of numbers or a graph and you say, summarize these numbers for me in a narrative, that can do that.
We need more AI in music.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that, but it would be from a...
We need more AI tools. Is what I'm saying. Yeah, tools.
To supplement.
Not AI, not generative
augment.
AI, not like created music. Maybe you disagree, but like I think it would be useful to have AI that is telling you how to do things in a certain way, that is technical. I always separate the technical and the creative.
Yeah.
And I struggle with technical.
No, I think that's a good, 100%. And like you say, it lowers the barrier to entry for a lot of people and for a lot of things.
Yeah.
For good or for bad, I don't know.
I think good. I think if there's less barriers around, okay, yeah, you lose some jobs in the mixing and mastering world, maybe they develop and change in certain ways. But I think from a creative point of view, you're unlocking the door for people if you can bypass that like technical side of things.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to think about mixing and mastering, stuff would just flow out. Like it would break down, like I said, it would break down the barrier, I think, so much faster with creation. And
yeah, but just being more prolific in music releasing necessarily Is that a good thing? Like, do you think we spend so much time tweaking things, and almost the period of time that takes allows us to reflect on the song? Whereas if we could get it tweaked instantaneously with AI or whatever, and then suddenly the song's finished, and we're like, oh, we can release this now. Would it necessarily be as good as if we'd have gone along the journey of? Do you know what I mean?
I think it could be. I think there's no reason why just getting something done faster because you don't have to think about the technical stuff. It would be a problem. I appreciate that there are times when you can review the stuff that you do and you like.
Yeah, I suppose you could do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your opinion, your things change, and like we were talking about this before the podcast. Sometimes we'll listen back to our own stuff, or you'll listen back to your stuff, and it's like, don't know if I like that as much as I used to, and like sound changes. Maybe it would just evolve the way an artist thinks of their music. It would become very short term rather than reflective. Would that be a bad thing? Maybe not. I don't know. But it's an interesting one to think about. And yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll see some really cool changes coming with AI.
I've got some old. I've got I've got this, Burns. Listen. Oh shit! When I got it. What's it?
I want to hear some more Reuben singing. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, that's killer.
Play that again.
That's killer.
So this is I don't want to get my singing in there. I just want to get the
Come on. I want to.
You don't. This was Red Line, our latest single. It was one of the. To be fair, it was one of those songs. But when I wrote that initial idea, I didn't play the riff on my guitar. I sang it because I knew, like, straight away in my mind, I was like, this is what the riff is, and it just like kind of came out. Burns then did make some changes to it, which needed to be made, to be fair. But I've actually got that voice note as I played it, and I'm going to play it for you now. Finds you down like bow, 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 bow. There you go. That's an exclusive right there.
I love that.
Oh god, I can't believe I just played that.
So I was chatting to Matt about vocalizing ideas, and sometimes you do just have to like get it out. So was that the vocal melody?
No, that's the riff. That's the. I'll play you that.
And you just didn't have your guitar on you?
No, I did. I was playing my guitar whilst playing that voice note, and as I was playing it, I was like,
"So you're playing the rhythm?"
Yeah, and then it just came out, and I was like, "Wow, that's what the riff is going to be." But if I just play this is the riff that ends up in the song. Got you. So it kind of ended up as the catch of the, and that's the bit that Andy added, was that bit at the end, which was, kind of ties it all together quite nicely. But no, it was the guitar was written, and then I was like, as I was playing, I was like, in my head, I could just hear that riff, and then, tried to sing that, and then sent it to Andy, put it in his laptop, and then, it was a long, you wrote the chorus and the verse and the whatever. And then we sat on it for ages, and we changed the structure a few times. We changed the key, and then we sat on it, like, I think over Christmas time, I think you were in the States or whatever. And then we just didn't look at it for ages. And I remember being like, I don't really like this anymore. I'm not really sure. But you were like, no, this is great. This is really good.
Yeah, I think I'd been working on it sort of in secret.
Yeah,
it kind of died away a little bit. And
yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
I was just like pottering away a little bit. And
then when structure changed, and then I remember being like, oh no, actually this is really good. I really like this. And then I think at one point it had a guitar solo in it, as most of my things do, and we rightfully cut that out. And then you wrote a really cool chorus that kind of came after the riff and became a post-chorus. We had this really, really cool, is it a trumpet?
Yes,
trumpet sample that Andy found that just like works so well at the end of the song and kind of gives you that summery vibe. Yeah. And we were like, we have to finish. This song's too good not to finish. You wrote a really nice chorus that we didn't have before. And in terms of lyrics, the first thing we had was "I don't want to find," and that's the line that I sung on my original voice note. which I'm not going to play you. And
let me hear it.
no, I
Come
can't.
on.
You can't say that.
Come
Get it out.
on.
Of course.
We're all friends here.
So the actual song sounds like this. No, I've gone too far forward. So it's got that like, and then the voice note that I put together had this.
Okay, that's
So
where
do you see it,
like inspiration is coming from.
Yeah, and that's where it started. And I think that was the melody that I had, and I was like, yeah, that's a great melody. I played it to you, and I think you just played it back thinking you were singing that, but actually you were singing something different. And I was like, yeah, that's better. We'll stick with that. And that actually, I think, is what happened, unless you were intentionally thinking, I'm just going to sing something different and hope he doesn't realise. I don't know.
Can't remember.
But yeah, so we had the...
Diplomatic.
Yeah. So we had the I don't want to find. And then that was like the line that we had. And then I think that's kind of where it started. And then you said, I'll let you hit the red line. And then that kind of idea of kind of getting to the point of no return or getting to the point where you're done.
That was hard work though.
That
wasn't it?
Yeah. So we then were like, right, well, that's what the song has to be about. So then we then backtracked and we're like, okay.
Well, no, because red line was not a word that you were familiar with.
No, listen. Right, no, so stop.
You or Lucy were familiar with. Go on.
What does, if I said, you're hitting the red line?
Yeah.
Forget what I just said. What do you think that means? What do you think the red line is? Where do you think that is?
Either, okay, red line, I actually kind of think either empty.
Yeah, like in a car.
In a car. Or I would think peaking too much.
On what? What's that? What are you doing?
So that's me thinking, very musical related and very dial related. That's me thinking about like noise levels.
So it was the latter. But interesting, it was a combination of those two because it's the peaking thing. But for him, it was the revs on a car, which go red at the end, right? So it's a red, but too much, right? That was it, yeah. But I was like, well, and I said to Andy, I was like, we can't. No one knows what that means. We can't sing. Well, you can't sing that because people are going to be like, well, what does that mean? I did it anyway. But yeah, so once we agreed that was what we were going with, which took longer than you would think.
That was hard work because I was like, that's such a nice phrase.
And I was like, no, it's not. We've had it. We do this often, don't we? Where Burns is like, "This is the best line ever," and I'm like, "It is definitely." In fact, if I try, I could probably dig back and find some of your suggested lyrics, and we could talk about those. I already had to pay. I've had to pay myself singing, so I think we can.
Can we? I would love to.
I'll do it while we're talking.
I really don't mind. No.
Okay, nice.
But so,
especially if it's lyrics, because it'd be nice for you as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the podcast is just whatever. We talk about whatever. It's just music related.
Yeah.
Just the name is notes and lyrics.
Okay.
Let's talk about cars.
So, can you get the actual lyrics out?
Yeah.
So, we had. So, what's the first line? I dream it over. Why you remain. So, like that was. It was like I dream it over. If I'm to blame, it's such a shame. All of that kind of stuff. And then, you had a really nice line was, you are by my side, well, it's a glide and I don't. So like that, like really like punchy syllables was really nice. Where else would it be?
The fleeting fear as well. I was quite
fleeting
happy with that.
Fear of losing.
Bit of alliteration.
Yeah.
Nice. Love that. Cheeky bit of alliteration there.
When would it have been?
So what are you looking at there? Why is it red?
So this is, I've just opened Spotify.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are on Spotify.
And you can add that in through your distributor, can't you?
No, it's on Music Match.
Interesting.
And you time sync it. So if I was to play this, it goes through.
Did you have to do that all manually?
Yeah. You can outsource it, to be fair.
Nice. Okay. What's that called again?
Music Match.
Music Match.
Music with an X. So music.
Music with an X. Musics.
Yeah.
But in terms of the lyric writing process, it was one of those where we had the meaning before we had the words. So we were like, okay, so the idea has to be, or because of that one line that we loved, I came to love after you telling me that that's what we were doing. We then we're like, right, well, that's what the meaning of the song has to be. So then we're like, okay, so what? And then we kind of, to be fair, it was the three of us, me, you and Lucy, we sat down and fleshed out what that feeling is and what kind of words and what kind of phrases would come with that. And that's then we kind of built it out that way. Would you say? We didn't start with any, at least verse lyrics, did we?
No, yeah, just a bit of a concept.
Yeah.
Went from there.
Yeah. Do you ever find it easier to think of like a topic and then write about it? Or is it, for me, I very rarely think of a topic. I will have notes in my notes. I have things written down in my notes. It's like a song about X, a song about this. But generally, it's usually just the words that come rather than the idea.
Yeah.
More often, like, what do you think? Is that similar for you? Is it? You just said it's concept based.
It's a feeling first. Feeling, then mumble words, then some words, then meaning.
Right.
Me.
And then we then get attached to those mumble words that we end up having, that we end up sticking with. So like Fleeting Fear, that was one that we was in from the beginning.
We can dive into that verse too as well. I think
Yeah,
it's
I've
quite
got
cool.
that. So we got, is it start? So I've got, damn, I can't believe, a million places, hesitation, none are free. You say you don't mind, it's all right. You just want to be with me. You don't need the scenery.
Oof.
Which is quite nice. That was you. That was all you.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Which is really nice.
It was really difficult though. So that there's a line that says, a million places, hesitation, none are free. We didn't really have enough syllables to properly flesh out that sentence and be like, there's a million places I've hesitated and I've not made a booking. I've slightly messed up and now none are free. But we had to make sort of a tactical decision to be like, we're going to have to leave some words out here and just hope that people can sort of connect the dots.
It. Right. So give me the line. What is the line in the finished song?
I can't believe, a million places, hesitation, none are free.
Interesting. It's like you've literally just dropped words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the idea of the song is like, you're with someone or you want to be with someone and you're just like, just being a bit shit. And they're just getting fed up with you and they're like, you're not trying, this is not working, you don't care. And so the idea is like, oh, it's my job to book dinner for tonight. I didn't do it. There's loads of places to book, didn't bother. And now everywhere's full. That was the idea, was it?
I think it's one of those that it does work if you put it into some context. So imagine if you're almost like muttering under your breath and you're annoyed at yourself. You're like, damn, I can't believe it. A million places, hesitation, none are free.
Okay, yeah,
it works,
that does work. Yeah,
it works like that,
yeah.
But it doesn't work if you just traditionally read it.
That's an interesting one.
Context is everything.
Fair.
But we always have this where we write something and we think, like, we know what we mean, but does that necessarily translate to people when they're listening to it? And actually, it doesn't really matter if they do or don't. I don't think. Like, it sounds good. People can infer what they want to infer from it, and that's almost quite nice in a way that people have different takeaways depending on how they hear things. Yeah. And it saves us loads of time having to try and figure it out. So it works. It's a win-win. But it is difficult, I think. I mean, I listen to songs and, you know, even when you did the podcast with Matt and Matt was reading some of his stuff, and I just think, oh, that's so clever, like the double meanings and the inside rhymes and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I wish we could write that. And I don't know, it's just, that's also the grass is always greener kind of thing. Like you listen to somebody and think, I wish I wrote that song. But maybe people wish they wrote.
I think you just made me think of something. So
I wish I wrote something.
Finish that sentence early.
Phineas, you know who I'm talking about when I say Phineas? Billie Eilish's brother.
I know who Billie Eilish is.
So her brother is the genius.
He produces all
of
music.
all geniuses.
Okay.
So they write together. He produces it all. He produces other people's stuff as well. He was talking recently about saying it became trendy in music, in pop music, to be super specific about stuff. And you'd be like, you know, I walked out the door, I had my keys in my hand, that sort of stuff, like super. God, I was struggling there.
No, you'd be like, oh, they broke up with me, I cried.
Yeah,
I went
exactly.
home.
Yeah.
I was following you, by the way. I actually didn't think you were struggling. I thought you had it. You had it. You could have just gone with that one.
And so that kind
Nexus.
of that was very that was super in fashion. And he's just released a song and said, actually, it was really nice to be a little bit more vague and open it up to the listener again.
But isn't that why loads of musicians, like, and Taylor Swift is an example of this, they never ever say who the song is about in a different kind of way. Like they'll release a song that's like really emotional, and everyone's like, oh my God, this has to be about this person or this person. She's not the only example, there's others. But she always says, I never want to tell fans or listeners who the song is about, because then they will only think about that person when they hear the song instead of attaching their own meaning to it. So in a kind of similar way where you're talking about being intentionally vague so people then put their own feeling on it, kind of in a similar way.
So you're saying you can still be really specific but vague about the specific,
or really emotional,
right? Okay, got you.
So if it's like a song about a breakup and Taylor Swift said, this is when I broke up with, I don't know whoever she's broken up with recently, everyone and like that is, and everyone then thinks of that person when they listen to that song. Whereas if she doesn't tell anyone, which she doesn't, and you've just broken up with someone, you listen to that song and then you think about them, or you or someone else, one of your friends, whatever. So, which I think is quite nice. I think that's quite good. I think leaving it open to interpretation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like to leave things open to interpretation, and sometimes I will go back on things when I get asked about meaning, and I will give a meaning to it, and then I'll get asked again another time, and I'll give a different meaning. And I think it can be fluid. Yeah,
I also think as well, like, we don't really have this, but let's say, I don't know, you go to a really, really emotional event that you then write a song about, to then tell people that is what it's about, and that's what happened to you, and therefore opening that part of yourself up to people must, like, I don't want to do that. It's much easier to just say, oh no, it's vague, it's about something else, which I think, I don't know, we obviously, for us, it's not, we're not talking to people all the time about our music, but if you're someone that's like super, super famous and you've written a really emotional song and they're like, oh, what's this about? And if you're honest about it and say, oh, it's about, I don't know, something horrible, that's quite difficult. But it's much easier
to... seen John Mayer interviews where he's like, oh, you've got to be so vulnerable, and like that's the part.
Yeah, but he doesn't say what his songs are about.
Yeah, but there's often a description of being vulnerable,
Yeah, I guess it's about himself in a way rather than other people.
Yeah, and I suppose his point is, like, if you're vulnerable, you then produce the best kind of, the most authentic music, I suppose, which is true. But I don't know. Everyone has their own.
What do you find it easiest to write about? Lyrically, maybe that's a question more for you, Andy.
Yeah, I'll let you take that.
Can't answer it.
Interesting.
Well, on a podcast, you have to answer.
What have you found?
Just go home, shall we?
All right, done. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Not answering your questions, Josh, sorry.
What have you found flows most often? Do you think you can pinpoint that, or do you think you're just completely open with stuff?
Classic love, I think. The love stories.
Okay.
100%.
Got you.
I'm not writing about politics. That's not my go-to thing.
Yeah.
It is very much it's a description between two people,
Got you. Usually relationships based.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, and not like feelings based as well, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
a lot of the time. But that's what everyone sort of writes about, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
A little bit,
pretty much. Yeah,
not from some people, but like, I don't know. I think
like you wouldn't catch me writing a politics song,
No, but like most songs that are released and are out, they're about love and relationships, or the end of relationships, or like people write songs about their kids and stuff like that, don't they?
Oof. I guess they do.
No, like people as a baby and they're like, what's it? Stevie Wonder, Isn't She Lovely? That's about his daughter, I think. So like songs like that.
I've just found something. This is actually kind of deep. It's sweet though. Here's some vulnerability, right?
Right, okay.
This is the 12th of September, 2017.
Oh, okay. So are we like,
this is my first year of uni, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my mum's gonna love this. Is it all right for a 19-year-old guy to be missing his mum, and ready to cry? Is it okay for someone like me to be missing his home and his family?
Oh,
isn't that
that's
sweet?
Really nice.
And I'm right. That's like the 12th of September. That's like my
your
first week at uni. Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's cute. There you go, Mum. That's for you. Yeah. Oh wow. Sorry, got distracted. I came across that and I was like, whoa. Sometimes I don't remember writing this stuff as well.
I don't know if that's that long ago.
Yeah, 7 years which ago. Is why I love going back through like some of the real history of stuff and finding like those stories and those feelings that you find.
Yeah. It's quite nice to see as well, I guess, how, because for you, it's lyrical in terms of how your lyrics have changed and what you're writing about. Whereas, because a lot of our stuff, or at least my stuff, is on voice notes, it's also hearing how the musicianship has changed, especially with songs that like took lots of iterations before we released them, and listening to the first draft and being like, oh, actually, I don't know how we got anything from that, because that sounds awful.
When you send each other ideas, it might vary, but generally, like, what level do you have to get it to before you send it on? Is it
Oh,
is
no.
it a full song, or is it just like a little idea, tiny thing?
Little idea. I mean, I mean, there's no
Like-
the barrier to entry is extremely low.
It's on zero.
Like,
It's on zero.
like,
yeah.
oh, you'll send me stuff and I can't even like properly hear what you're doing, and I'm like, you have to redo that. I can hear the traffic in the background. I'm like, mate, just do it again. But yeah, no,
That's
really,
nice though.
it
It's
is
nice that you get to that stage with someone where you just go,
yeah,
You can send almost anything.
yeah. But it's almost like, especially you send it because you're playing or whatever, and you get something, you're like, oh, this is really good. Let me just quickly ping it to Andy, and then inevitably you don't reply for like 2 days. And like, I can't. I've lost that momentum now. But like sometimes you're there and you're like yes or either no. But yeah, no, it can be anything really. And it's quite funny whenever we're together and we're writing, we'll just be playing along and like you'll sing something and I'll be like, oh my god, do that again, and press voice record, and then you're like, I can't remember what I did. I don't know, and then we lose it and we're like, oh, that was so good.
You
And
always need
just don't
something
remember.
recording all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever
if we
go away for writing breaks, or like do you ever isolate yourself? Say like, look, we're going to lock ourselves somewhere for a day.
No, we've never done that.
No.
We've spoken about doing that a lot. Like Lucy has always had this kind of romantic idea of like, let's go to a log cabin in the Peak District and write music for a weekend, which would be amazing. We've never done it.
I'd like to do that, and I kind of am doing that. I'm going, obviously, Bermuda is coming up, right?
It's a pretty nice log cabin.
Yes, one of the nicest log cabins in the world. But yeah, and I love the idea of that, but I also, compared to you guys, I love the idea of doing that with other like-minded people. And, you know, I'll go and I'll meet people, I'm sure. But I love the idea as a band going and taking not just my own inspiration, but other people's inspiration with me, because you're almost guaranteed like something to flow out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe
But then
more naturally.
I think what we were saying earlier about kind of you dedicate time to writing, what is the outcome? I mean, you're different to me, but I think if we did that and we're thinking, oh, well, a successful weekend looks like us coming away with a song or songs, I would then be like, oh, I don't know, because there's so much pressure for you to write.
You'd rather it just flow naturally.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that kind of process would probably be easier if you came in with already having a few ideas, and then that process of that weekend away would be to. Do you think?
Hone
do you
them.
think it would be?
Sometimes you can
Like
just
I
jam
say-
and stuff flows.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those where you could be the most prepped you could possibly be and still come away with nothing, or you could go in with nothing and come away with everything. You know, it depends. Just have to get lucky. That's why some people like believe in religion, you know, because they're like that. It's not me. It just comes through me.
Okay,
this is
this is an
very
interesting point, right?
Yeah.
I was chatting about this again with Roger.
We're traversing all planes of.
But
Yeah,
I love that though.
conversation.
Yeah, no,
Conversation.
let's branch out. Let's talk about aliens. So I had this with Roger. There are sometimes I will just like, I don't know where it comes from, right? I can tell you where it comes from, but something will just like hit me and I will just, lyrics will flow out onto this idea and a whole song will just flood out in like minutes. And the 4 songs I have released in my Rooms EP, all of those songs have come out like that in a flood. And there's not been so much thinking going into them. And usually I find that's where like the quality comes.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where it's like, is it like some sort of divine intervention where it's not even you that's creating this? It's like something's just sent down to you, these thoughts that just flood out onto the page, because there are times when I can do that and it will just flood out. And there are times when I'll just be like stuck looking at the same loop, looking at the same words that I've written down, like, I have no idea. Why isn't it coming? And then you lose interest and it goes. I don't know if you've had similar experiences.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You're just like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, like you will find yourself writing.
But it's how bad. You're like, oh.
Where did that come from?
That won't be.
Sucks. That one definitely wasn't me. So I feel like the best songs, in my opinion, of what I've written, the ones that I like the most, are ones that I've probably spent like 4 hours writing, but I feel like they've just come out in like 20 seconds. You don't even think about it. You're just doing it. It's like a flow state kind of thing.
Yeah, so it sounds like flow state kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I don't know. That doesn't really ever happen for me, but I always feel like live music my moments of inspiration in terms of like productivity and ideas always comes after I've seen a gig. Like I went to see John Mayer at the O2, came back and I was like, I'm so now ready to write because I've got that inspiration there. I went to see Jordan Rakai the other day and like he had a full string section, a full brass section. So now I'm like, oh, I really want to write a song that would have strings in it, and you're there and you're kind of coming up with ideas. So I think, yeah, for me, it's kind of a different sort of avenue into that productive mode, but it's not quite the same, I suppose, as your flow state type thing, your divine intervention or whatever you want to call it.
It's just like feeling inspired, isn't it? When you go and see those kind of things.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, got you. Right. If you could give one piece of advice to someone maybe 16 coming out of GCSEs or 18 coming out of A-levels who wanted to write music, create music, produce, play guitar, what would your advice be? Now that you're, we're 26. Are you 27?
26. What are you, 28?
27.
27. So yeah, now we're at this age. 30. Oh my god.
Wow, you are.
Yeah. Now that you're at this point where you've played gigs, you've released music that BBC's played, you've done all of these things. And maybe it's just like one, we're not the Billie Eilishes and the Taylor Swifts and the Sabrina Carpenters of the world, but we're trying to work our way in a certain direction, and we're maybe 1 or 2 steps ahead on the ladder to some of these kids coming out. Yeah. What would you say as a piece of advice to expand their horizons?
Get a laptop.
That is
a powerhouse.
That is so,
you can
trite. That is,
mate. You can play any instrument in the world. You get look. I know it's.
I feel like we can unpack this.
Yeah, okay.
We can unpack
justify
this.
it.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I know a laptop. Not everyone can get their hands on a laptop, but that breaks every barrier.
So you think like,
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
Get into the multi-instrument,
100%, yeah,
software DAW area. Get into 100%. That, definitely.
Well, because even if you don't use it to its max capacity, well, you can record yourself playing, you can record yourself humming, and then you can build on that.
Got you.
So think Jacob Collier, like he can literally write a whole song using nothing but his voice. So
yeah, I mean, to be fair, like loads of successful artists started by making beats in their bedroom on Logic on their laptop. Mm-hmm. Like Tom Misch, Jacob Collier wasn't making beats, but he was doing that kind of thing. Even Steve Lacy was doing stuff on GarageBand, I think, or something like that for the internet. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry for laughing, but I do agree. It was quite funny. I do agree with you.
It was quite funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think from a guitar point of view, it would be recording and listening to yourself back, 100%. Because
from a band point of view, from
a writing point of view.
Yeah, well, no, just from getting to a point where you can play gigs and create music and be in the position that you're in. What I don't know. Okay, what has unlocked the doors for you creatively? Maybe it's a really broad
question.
Listen to
yourself back. Yeah, listening to yourself. The most important thing you can do. Playing with a metronome is a big one. I think also just like being quite open-minded and not being nervous to. So, for example, I spent a lot of the time playing in my bedroom with myself on the guitar. On the guitar, I heard that how that came out. I said that. Yeah, me too. It's not really good enough. Playing the guitar by myself in my bedroom, and the graduating from that to playing with other musicians is.
That's got me good. Ooh. Okay, sorry.
We can cut that out, right? Fuck's sake. Right. I know what I meant. The people know what I meant.
Yeah, sorry.
Going from just playing the guitar by yourself is very different to playing with other people and playing other people playing their instruments as well.
Right.
Let's start again.
Yeah. Okay. Go on. Take 2.
I think being open-minded is important.
Yes. Okay. I don't know why that's just absolutely triggered me.
Yeah. But I think being open-minded is important. And I think like going from just playing your guitar or just playing the keys or just singing by yourself, then going into a setup where you're playing in a band in a group situation, like it's quite difficult to put yourself in that situation because you're thinking, shit, what if they're all better than me? What if I can't keep in time? What if I don't know, they're saying play a G and I forget what G is, or like I don't know what key we're in or whatever. So my advice, I think, would be just go out and just do it anyway, because chances are everyone else in that room is thinking the same as you in terms of shitting themselves a little bit. And I think playing with other people and having that kind of shared wavelength of whatever you're playing and being in a group environment just causes so much creativity just to be there in the room and for you to just develop as a musician, but also kind of socially as well, and in a musical sense, I mean. And I don't know, I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think there's one thing, playing along to a backing track and playing along to your favorite songs, but then playing in a band with other people without any kind of backing track and just live and you and them and whoever they are is such a different experience, and is so, I don't know, it's good for, what's the word? I don't know. Development. Yeah, I think. So that would be my advice, is to try and push stuff out there to meet people and play instruments with people, because ultimately that's kind of, we had to do that when we formed Portobello, and before then we were all musicians in our own right, but didn't necessarily, I'd never been in a band before. I don't think you had you? And I don't think the other guys had. And so then that kind of moment of when we're all together, well, it's kind of led to us, like you say, releasing music and playing some fun shows and stuff. So that, and had I or had you or had the other guys thought, I don't want to do that, I'm a bit worried that I won't look great, it wouldn't have happened. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I think
that, and just get a laptop.
Yeah, just get a laptop. To be fair, you could probably skip the social stuff and just get a laptop. But I do get what you're saying. I do think that's in line with me. It's the social aspect. It's like, be open to collaborating with people.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's similar to what you're saying.
You've summed that up better than I did.
One line.
I
got you, bro.
Cut what I said.
Cut last 10 minutes.
Cut you in. So
but okay, the other thing, something that I've found recently is learning, like the upskilling. There's so much you can do. And maybe YouTube isn't always the best thing because there's so much on there. Like, find a course, right? I use Udemy or Udemy. I don't know if you've heard of it, Udemy, but it's so useful to like find one person who's going to walk you through everything in relation to Logic, maybe.
Do they have that on Udemy?
Yeah. I'm doing that right now.
Really?
Yeah. I'm on like lesson 3. Yeah. Winning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go and take that with me to Bermuda and study and try and learn. And I do think that for so long, I was trying to I would get Logic. It comes back to this. Read the manual, right? That is, I think, a saying that my dad used to say. It was like RTFQ.
Read the question.
Yeah. Read the question. Is that
always read the full question?
Read the full question. Okay,
say, but everyone knows.
I've heard RTFM.
Read the full manual.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it's read the full manual, but I thought it was read the manual.
It probably is.
And it's just like, don't just get a laptop and open it up and be on Logic. Learn how to use it, and then do the learning first, and then write. I think it's great to write
and learn
without learning. As you're doing it. And I've done that for the last 8 years, but only in the last year or two have I been trying to learn really how to use things and develop. And I already see those doors being unlocked that before it was just like, I'm just trying to figure it out, but it's not working.
Your own kind of box of ability.
Yeah. It's just, it's so easy to just learn, Yeah.
But you always say that to me when we're talking about, like, we're getting ready to go into the studio and Andy's like, make sure you practice the guitar so that when you go in, it's on time. And I'm like, no, I am practicing. I was playing I played all last night. And you're like, no, what were you doing last night? And I was like, I was playing along to a few tracks and like just jamming. And you were like, that's not practicing. You need to practice with a metronome and sit and actually practice. And when you think about it, since I stopped having lessons, I don't actually practice my instrument or practice writing. You just kind of, I'll just jam a little bit. It doesn't make you get any better. And actually kind of having a lesson or a course or whatever.
That makes me sound hella controlling.
Okay. Blink twice if you need help.
No. Just to explain, that's more about all your when you're practicing, you don't want to practice your mistakes.
Yeah.
You want to actually differentiate between what you're trying to do.
I don't disagree with you. I agree.
No.
It's
and
good.
what you're actually doing.
See
You know?
that, yeah.
If I think about like my ability or your ability or as a guitarist or as a musician, I don't think I've got any better at that in the last 5 years. It's like realistically, I play guitar almost every day, but I haven't actually got any better at guitar because I've just not sat down and thought, I'm going to learn how to do a pitch harmonic or how to do a whatever. I just play because I enjoy playing after work or on a weekend. But actually now I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll have a few guitar lessons again. And
there you go.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether I will or not, I don't know. The intention is there.
It's a nice thought, isn't it? Right. I think we've chatted a lot. Yeah. So tell me, where can people find you guys on social media?
You need to say it.
You can't look at me and I look at you. Why don't you just say? You just say.
Well, no, you say it. I've done enough talking.
That's going in.
You do it.
Oh,
Okay, so where can we find you guys? Socials, Spotify.
What?
We're waiting for you, mate.
Why am I doing it?
Because you're in the middle. It just works like
Well, I'm not
framing wise.
Fucking hell. All right. You know what? I'd be an awful actor. What's it called? Corpse thing, isn't it? When you laugh at like every time they say action, you just laugh.
Maybe. Okay, so where can we find you guys?
On Spotify as Portobello, Instagram as @WeArePortobello. Those are the main two places. We're also on TikTok, and Apple Music and Amazon Music and all of that as well.
Nice. Stream Redline now.
Stream Redline.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Nice. Okay. Anything else? Anything coming up? Anything coming out? Any gigs, shows, stuff? What's happening?
No, we're just trying to dial in the next tune at the moment. We're working through that. Which now that we've done Redline and we know what we can do, it's going to be really nice getting the next one out.
All right. Well, yeah. Cheers. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Nice. Nice.